she's logged in.
Yeah, she's gonna log in from there because she's got her laptop up there and all that for work, so she can.
All right, we are going live.
She's probably the third one that just.
In 1 or 3, 2. I do need to switch that.
Oh yeah, because you just.
I need to switch that.
Yeah, there is definitely a delay. You could probably turn your volume down. You need to turn that down. Okay.
All right. We still got a few minutes. Hi, everybody.
This.
Okay.
Ask people to tell us they're here, because I don't see who's here. They need to make a comment or something, I think.
Yeah, we will at 1 o'clock. Tony, say hello.
Oh, you can read it.
I can. Well, I see something.
Well,
I have to
it
really
looks-
lean in
Okay.
to
It
see
looks
it.
familiar enough that you can figure out what his name is.
All right, we're 1 o'clock. It's time. Hey, everybody. I'm Derek. This is Kathy. Say hi if you're in the room so we can see you chat in. Good deal. Oh, I can see right there. Awesome.
No, there's two.
I think Caden just left. Okay. Let's introduce ourselves. Again, my name is Derek. I started dog training when I was 14 years old. My grandmother actually got me started doing it. Back then, we competed in AKC obedience. Really, all we kind of knew was using choker chains and things like that. Yank, yank, yank. Get them in the position that you want, and you don't want the butts to sit to the side because they deduct points. So it wasn't really the best way to train in hindsight. Eventually got into positive reinforcement training. That was probably mid 90s. Fell in love with that because obviously you didn't have to hurt your dog anymore to get them to do what you wanted them to do. So that was huge. A lot of people jumped on that bandwagon and it kind of took off. But I've been training dogs for well over 30 years. Love doing it. Met a lot of different dogs and a lot of different behaviors. So really not much new as in when it comes to dog behaviors. But I'll let Kathy tell you about herself.
I'm Kathy. I started training dogs when I was about 15, and again, it was a lot of it was you used a choker, you used things to make the dog do what you wanted them to do. And then later on, I decided I wanted to learn more about training. I enjoy training the dogs, and I started learning the positive reinforcement methods and not using those chokers and all of that. And then a couple years ago, I went through decided to go to school, become a dog trainer, and I really enjoyed. My favorite part was the shaping, where you let the dog shape the behavior and you don't make that behavior. You don't force it out of them. And then when I met Derek, and I learned a lot about concept training, and that is just I fell in love with that. So I'm excited to go forward with that.
Now, we also have a third trainer, Tara, which is Kathy's sister. She's been training just as long, has just as much experience and just as much love for it. But unfortunately, she had an emergency at home, so she had to end up rushing out. She will be joining us as soon as she's able to get settled in and get things sounded, but she'll be joining from her place instead of here. So a little bit about T&D Forever Home Training, where it came from and why we even started it. First of all, the T is my wife, Tani. She has been involved with T&D on the backside of it, doing the books and all that good stuff. So she's the T, the power of the T, and I'm the D, Derek. And so, and then of course the name itself kind of explains why we started it. Forever Home Training. All of our dogs are rescues. I think even all your
Most of
dogs,
mine.
yeah,
Most of
even
mine.
fosters. So it was COVID when we started it, and we had just gotten a new dog. Her name's Phoenix, which you've probably seen videos of her, pictures, because I post more pictures of her than probably than anything. But she was a very reactive dog, a very scared dog. Scared of humans, scared of other dogs, scared of her own shadow, scared of a bag that made too much noise. It didn't really matter. It scared her to death. And it took a lot of work, and it's continued work that we're still working on today. She's came a long way in the time that we've gotten her, but then I didn't really understand the in depth of how bad the situation was, and then it started making me think, well, how many people that have gotten dogs during this time, during COVID, everybody's at home, so the dog adoption just boomed. So the shelters were loving it. The problem is that now people are going back to work, or now they got this 8-week puppy and it's hitting that 3-week or 3-month-old age now, and it's turned into a little raptor that's tearing up the house, chewing everything up, and these dogs end up in the shelter just because of these simple behaviors that most likely were caused by us. What do you think?
Yeah.
I mean,
We did not teach them from the beginning what we wanted of them.
right. That we reinforced the behaviors that they were doing. So a lot of these dogs would end up in the shelter, and that's what we wanted to prevent, because that's where Phoenix was basically headed to, and she would have never survived in the shelter. She probably would have been put on the euthanasia list pretty quick, just because of her reaction. Her feedback is that if she barks and lunges, it scares away whatever is scaring her, and it's worked for her. So that's the reason why she does it. But if you ever walked up on her, she would probably lay over on her side and pee on herself. She's just a scared dog. But the feedback that she's gotten in the past is to react the way she does, and it gets the scary thing away. So just because of these behaviors, that's how T&D really got started. It started doing work with the shelter, and fell in love with quite a few dogs.
Mhm.
Dogs
Hard not
there.
to.
Anybody that's been following us, you've met Charlie, or you've read about Charlie. He's actually in New Jersey now, living life, and fat as could be. Oh my gosh, he is so huge now. But one of the best dogs ever, and actually got me involved with the shelter, or T&D involved with the shelter, because he was labeled as a bite risk, and basically on the euthanasia list, he was going to be put down. So went out and worked with him and made changes, and was able to walk him down the crowd of Bow Wow Bash last year. That was pretty awesome. And he loved it. So at that point, I knew he was ready to be adopted out. And Adrian, the gentleman that adopted him up in New Jersey, you couldn't have asked for a better pet parent. Besides the too much food. That's the only thing. But he's a completely different dog, and that just goes to show that this type of training, it works. All you have to do is just put the time in.
Effort,
Yeah,
time,
the effort. Learn about it is the hardest thing. 3 minutes a day, 3 to 5 minutes is usually what I recommend. 3 to 5 minutes a day, these exercises. And if you think about it, and you gain 1% a day, and 1% improvement a day, in 30 days, you've gained 30% improvement. It's almost halfway there in 30 days.
And it's not you don't have to sit there for half an hour with a, strict regimen of we're going to sit down, we're going to, it's not like that. You just little times throughout the day, you're reinforcing and teaching these behaviors.
Little exercises that you
Yes.
can do throughout your daily routine, whether it's you're at work and you're coming home and you're having to get the kids dinner and get them ready for bed and all that stuff. You still have 3 minutes that you can carve out to give to your
to
dog.
do that.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, even if
And
it's
it's fun.
right before you go to bed, and wear your dog out before they go to bed and lay down because they built up energy all day. They want to do something. So, it's just a fun way to
Yes.
train and reshape behaviors, reshape that brain to do the behaviors that we want, that are acceptable, that follow the house rules. And that kind of leads us to why we are here today. For one of the main reasons that I wanted to stress is that there is other ways to train besides choker and prong collars and e-collars. You don't have to train that way. You don't have to hurt or scare your dog to get them to do what you want them to do. There is ways to do it. You just have to learn. That's all it is. It's just that if you're shown the way, and that's why we're here, then you can do this and get these amazing changes that tens of thousands of people have already done.
And you'll have a dog that wants to do what you want it to
Yeah,
do, and
exactly.
not doing it out of fear or just trying to avoid an unpleasant stimulus or something.
Exactly.
The dog is going to do this because this dog wants to do this.
Yeah.
And so you'll actually have a better bond with the dog.
Right. And what are the most common reasons why you're called out to someone's house?
Jumping, barking, usually.
Mhm.
Nipping at the kids.
Oh yeah.
Going after the neighbor dogs.
Pulling on leash.
Yeah, pulling on the leash. That's a big one. Yeah.
I mean, these are very common. There's so many people out there that have these issues. Some people that don't even take their dogs for a walk because they can't handle their dog. They're afraid they're going to pull them over, or get
or
away
get into
from
a
them.
fight with, if
Yeah.
their dog reactive or something, they're
Exactly.
afraid they'll meet another dog on the walk. And
Exactly. So there's ways to reshape this, to reprogram your dog's brain, and not have to force them to do it, not scare them into doing it. Because if you think about it, dogs are a lot like kids. If you tell a kid that they can't do something, the first thing they're going to do when you turn their back is they're going to do it. Dogs the same way. If you force them or scare them into not getting into the cat box, the cat litter, don't do it, don't do it. And you've scolded them or used an e-collar or whatever it may be. And now they're not going to do it whenever you're looking. But as soon as you turn your back, that's the feedback that they've got. They've learned that can't do that when mom or dad's looking. I can only do it when they're not around.
Exactly. And that goes to the people you hear, they look guilty when they come in.
Right.
They're not guilty. They are not, they can't, which is going to lead into one of our next points, but they're not guilty. They simply know the response they're going to get.
Yeah.
They have been conditioned that, when mom comes home from work, you know what she's going to do? She's going to yell at me.
Right.
So they're not guilty for doing this. You've just trained them to be afraid of you.
Yeah, that's all it is. But I mean, like I said, there's easier ways to be able to change this. But they kind of think about it, just putting the pulling. My dog is an aggressive dog. My dog likes to bark a lot. That's a label. We all put labels on our dogs, and what I'd like you to understand is those labels are labels that your dog is now, not what your dog is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow, your dog may be a rock star because they did everything right. They made all the right choices. These exercises are to make those rock star type days be more frequent, and that way we change the label of your dog. My dog is just a superstar all the time. I can do anything with them. I can go out to eat with them. I can take them to a store. I can ride with them in the car. They go to the vet and they have fun. And it's all because they tend to become very optimistic, and optimistic meaning that their glass is always half full. They always see the silver lining. It doesn't matter how bad the day is. They're just a happy-go-lucky dog because we built that into them and showed them that that's the way they can do it. And that kind of leads us into how we do it and reshape the brain. But before we can explain how we reshape the brain, I've got to kind of show you how a dog's brain works.
And that you have to know how it works, to
To-
know how you can affect the brain, how you
Right.
can change this and cause this behavior that you want.
Exactly. So if you think about the driving force, what the reason why a dog gets up in the mornings, what is their driving force throughout the day? There's two main things. The number one thing is to evade fear and pain. That they don't want to have anything to do with that, something that scares them or hurts them. They want to stay away from it. The number two driving force would be seek uh, joy and pleasure. So things like treats, rubs, naps in the sun. That's the things that they're going to seek out. Um, but you have to understand that if you have a dog sitting here and you set a T-bone steak on this side of it, and there's a very scary stimulus right there in the middle, the dog's not going to go to that T-bone steak. The evade will always supersede the seek, if that makes sense. I hope that.
Yeah, because it's the fight and flight,
the fight. Yeah, exactly.
and that's always going to take over anything else.
Exactly. So by understanding that when you're in an environment, your dog is reacting a way that you're not used to seeing them react. Take a look at the environment. See what's different. See what could be making them react that way. And that kind of leads me into reaction. So let's show you how dog's brain works real quick. Now, first things first, do not say anything about my artistic ability.
It's not art. It's not art class.
It's not art class. So, one thing that all dogs have in common, it doesn't matter age, size, breed, color, doesn't matter. All dogs have one thing that is definitely in common is they have a brain. The brain is the machine, the computer that runs the dog. So, the brain. This is my brain. All right. So there's the brain. When a dog sees a stimulus, that's going to cause an emotion. Oh, that's terrible. That is an E. There you go. From the emotion is going to cause a reaction. So, what causes the reaction? What chooses the reaction in the brain? So let's break the brain down. If you think about it, think of it like little building blocks. And each one of these little blocks is a concept. Confidence, optimism, focus, proximity, thinking while in an arousal state. These are all concepts. Anxiety, stress, still a concept. It's a stimulus that they see. They get an emotion that causes a reaction. So what happens when you see a dog that is reacting, that has a Phoenix? She's the best example I can always give because she is that dog. She sees another dog, she likes to react. Her reaction is she will start barking, lunging, pulling, and everything else. She will completely tune me out. Think of it like you're watching a TV show and you're really into it, and someone comes up behind you and starts talking. You hear them talking, it's just not registering in your brain what they're saying. That's when a dog is at that point, at that threshold. That's what they're going through is that I can hear you talking back there. I don't understand what you're saying. It's not registering because I'm too focused on this. So what that means is that the concept, whether it's anxiety, most of the time it's fear of some sort, that's going to be the stronger concept in the brain, the stronger muscle in the brain. So that's going to cause that emotion and then the reaction that you get. So what we want to do, and what this training does when we talk about reshaping the brain, we want to weaken these concepts and strengthen the confidence, strengthen the thinking while in arousal state, being able to hear while excited, being able to be excited and calm down on a dime. Or not only that, just instead of on, off, let's add a dimmer switch. Let's say there's a stimulus that I'm normally 110%, but let's say that we teach them, no, you don't have to go 110%.
We can go 90%, and we're still good.
We're still good, yeah. Let's go 50%. You can still get excited about this. We just don't have to go off the hook and get excited. But that's, if you when you break a brain down on a dog like that, that's basically what we're doing is finding that muscle that we want to strengthen. Find that label, the label that we put on the dog. Most likely that label is some type of a concept. And that's in today's world, the label unfortunately says my dog is, oh, this is a scared dog. Well, that tells me the weak concept. That tells me that we
Aggression
have
is a very common label
a very
that's
common
put on
label,
a
yeah.
lot of things.
Exactly. An aggressive dog. Bite risk. Bite risk are put on dogs that have never even been bit or that have bitten. It's just that the reaction that they have. And the thing is the reaction can be several different things. Back to Phoenix, because she has shown several different reactions. Her most common one is to bark and lunge. But her secondary, like I said, if you were to walk up on her, she's laying down and she's tucked. And she's, curled up, and her body language is basically freeze. I'm
Maybe you
too
won't see
scared.
me.
Right, exactly. So the reaction may be different, but the emotion's still the same. She's still scared. She's still stressed. She still has that anxiety. So the emotion or the reaction itself can change. It's the emotion that we can get close to. We're never going to get it, nailed on the head.
100%. No.
But just watching body language and seeing reactions and things like that, it'll get us in the area.
And that's where it's important to look at the whole picture, because a lot of times, with a label is put on, this dog is aggressive, but they're looking at a reaction. You're not looking at the whole picture of what's
Right.
going on. How does the dog normally act? Is the dog normally a little more fearful? Is the dog, you have to look at the whole picture of the dog to know what you need to fix. Because if you're just looking at that label, you're just looking at the reaction that you have labeled, you can't get to where you need to be to
Exactly. So
redo it.
looking at that way, when we're training and doing in today's world, I guess it's called behavior modification.
Yeah.
I like to call it behavior reshaping, because we're not modifying the behavior. We're just reshaping it. We're just giving them other options. We're going to focus 5% on the issue, on the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to take the other 95% and we're going to solve that problem. So
yes,
we're going to, and we're going to look at the whole dog 95% of the time instead of and only 5% on the issue itself. Because if we only focus on that issue, we miss out on the dog.
Yes, the 95% is the dog.
Right.
You just have that little bit that's really the issue.
Right, exactly. So that leads us back to these types of exercises that we do, these games that we play with these dogs. These are science-based games that they have tested, and actually it's huge in the UK. They've been doing it for years over there. And it's just now starting to really catch here in the States. Here in Indiana, there's only a handful maybe of trainers that do concept training.
Yes.
It does have different names. I've heard game training, concept training. What was the other one? I can't think of it right now. But yeah, there's a couple different names that I've heard for it, but there's only a handful of them out there. Most trainers are doing positive reinforcement, and if we break it down like that, well, let's look at it this way. 3 types of trainers. Type 1 trainer was like the trainer that we were when we first started.
Yeah.
It was with the choker chains, yank, yank, yank.
Yeah.
That's what we knew. That's a type 1 trainer. Type 2 trainer, that's when things evolved into that positive reinforcement. And started using food and the lures and all that. Well, type 3 trainer is kind of type 2 evolved, because you're still using positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's just that we're taking it a different direction. We're doing it in a different way. Where type 1 and type 2 trainer, what they have in common is that you're taught to train in the moment. That when your dog is reacting, this is what you should do. Your dog doesn't like meeting people. It should meet new people, 10 new people a day, and condition it or shape it.
Yes.
But if you don't change the brain, the emotion is still the same. It's like someone taking you and throwing you in a snake pit, and every 30 seconds throwing down $100 bill. You may stay down there and collect a few $100, but the anxiety's still there.
It's still the same. You haven't changed you changed the reaction possibly, but
right.
not the emotion.
Yeah, right. That emotion is still there. So that's what we're doing by doing these exercises is we're changing that emotion. We're showing them that you don't have to feel this way. We're going to build confidence. We're going to strengthen that concept in the brain, that muscle in the brain that has confidence, that has grit. I am scared of that, but you know what? I'm gritty enough that I can work through it.
I can handle
I
this
can handle
without
this. Yeah.
going crazy.
Being able to handle frustration of deviating from their daily routine. Dogs hate when you deviate.
That's
from
a
their
big,
routine.
big thing.
Right? But if a dog is very optimistic, another one of those concepts, those muscles in the brains that we want to strengthen, that happy-go-lucky dog. If it's an optimistic dog, when you deviate from that routine, it's not a big deal.
It's not a big no. They're like,
Just
we're doing
okay,
something different, but
this
it's
is
not
cool.
going to completely
Right.
knock them off
Right.
balance.
Whine, bark, whatever the reaction may be, because the emotion is still the same. We're deviating from the routine. I can't predict what's coming next. So it's causing anxiety. The anxiety is causing stress. So it's causing me to give a reaction. You see?
And that's a lot of times, a good example of that is when people put their dog in the car to go to the vet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you'll get a lot of that,
Oh, yeah.
they're just not used. They're not used to change. They're not used to anything being different, and they never go. They're always at home. And they have their set routine.
Yeah.
And that one change of putting them in the car, they can't handle it. And so then you end up with you have the anxiety and the trembling and the slobbering and the all of these things because they just can't handle that change in their routine. And then of course that goes on to affect their whole idea of the vet staff. But
Right.
as far as now, it's a whole scary experience. It's a bad experience from that beginning.
Or the only place your dog ever goes when they get in the car is the
Is the vet.
So the feedback that they get, the end result is not
Is
good.
always
Yeah,
just they're
it's
going to
bad.
go get poked, prodded by strangers.
Because if we go back to the beginning, what is the main driving force of dogs? Why do they wake up in the morning? And that's to evade pain and stress. So
And
going in
that is
that
not
car, yeah, it
it triggers. It's that.
It triggers, yeah.
Whoops, this is bad.
Right.
So
all these experiences that happen throughout the day. So let's change our brain from being Legos and turn it into a bucket. And we're going to now just look at the way emotions affect our dog, the way experiences throughout the day affect our dog. So with this bucket, getting in the car, going to the vet, that's adding to the bucket. Looking out the window and the squirrel in the tree sitting there teasing them because they can't get to them, that's adding to the bucket. Going outside and playing ball, that adds to the bucket. Getting a bath adds to the bucket. The bucket's only so big. You keep adding and adding and adding to the bucket. What eventually is going to happen? It's going to overflow. And when the bucket overflows, that's when I hear most common, well, my dog's never done that before. That's because your dog is over threshold. That bucket is just pouring. It's oozing.
an overflowing bucket is always a mess.
Right. Exactly. No one likes overflowing buckets. So with these exercises, these games, what they do is they help empty that bucket. We show you how to dump the bucket out, how to add a little hole in the bucket. The more you do it, the more you play these games, the longer you do it, your bucket gets bigger. The hole in the bottom of it gets bigger. Now when stuff's going in, it's coming right back out. Now you got this rock solid dog that it's the fantasy that we all think about. It's I call it or not just me, but they call it the powerful why. And that's what you have to hold on to the most whenever you are going through some type of situation, whether it's training or behavior issue, whatever it may be. You've got to hold on to your powerful why. The powerful why is, why did I get this dog in the first place? Because I had a fantasy in my head that we'll go to the park, we'll play at the park, we'll go hiking, we'll go to the restaurants and sip tea outside, and take my dog everywhere. And then reality sets in, and your dog is nowhere near that.
Scared of the car, doesn't like to go places,
right,
all those things.
Right. But just because you're nowhere near what you expected your dog to be, doesn't mean that you can't get there. And it's just a matter of, you're just gonna have to put a little work into it. And the work is fun. If you're not having fun, if your dog's not having fun, it's not going to get done. It's pretty simple.
So nobody's gonna go
No.
Nobody gets up and says, "I'm gonna."
I
go
remember
do
back in
most
the
of same
day,
thing."
and I have to look. Okay, I'm working here. I got to carve out an hour on this day to be able to work with my dog, and then I got to carve an hour out on this day. I've got a show on this day, so it was just like
More of a chore than
right now
anything fun.
when I get up and it's time, it's feeding time. All the other dogs are out of the room. Hey, Phoenix, you want to play a game real quick? Boom, boom, boom. 3 minutes into it, where she's ready to rock and roll, and I may set her bowl down at that point.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to do it. And, we're pretty busy.
And each and every, just that 3 minutes,
Yeah.
all it takes to.
All you're looking for is 1%.
Yeah.
1% a day of improvement. If you see that small win, those little wins, they start adding up, and the next thing you know, you've got yourself a really big win.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's just that.
Exactly. So we are. What time is it? 3:30 or 12:30? Yeah, or 1:30.
He's gonna get it right one day, but it is 1:30.
Let's open up for questions and answers, Q&A. If anybody has any questions, we're more than happy to help you out. Tani has been typing. Do you have anything over there for questions yet? Oh, no big deal. Even if afterwards, down on the comments, you can put questions there. We'll catch them there. You can get questions. You can put questions on our Facebook page, several different places. You can find us Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those places. You can email us. It doesn't really matter. You can hit us from so many different places. This will go out recorded, so it's not that everyone has to be here to be able to see it. So, but the people that did register and that are here are going to receive an email later that's going to have some of the exercises that we do. These are exercises that we would prescribe to clients, pet parents that have came to us with some type of behavior issue. So this is one of the games is orientation. That's kind of one of the most important games there is.
It's kind of a foundation for everything.
Once you have orientation down, everything else it just builds off of that. And you'll see the exercise and think, man, this is kind of silly. All I'm doing is ping ponging my dog back and forth. But the concepts, the muscles that we're strengthening by doing this simple exercise is pretty powerful, especially once you start adding in the extensions off of this little game. It's a lot of fun. We, like I said, if it's not fun, it just basically doesn't.
And if you watch the videos, on YouTube,
some
of our videos, if you watch, the dog is enjoying it. The dogs are having fun, and it's also important to remember that this is for all dogs. You start this as puppyhood. You start when they're a baby. It doesn't have to be an adult dog that you start this with. Yeah. You start these games when they're little.
Hi, Bobby. Bobby actually made a comment. We're working with Bobby now, Dee Dee and Farron.
Yeah.
2 shepherds, wonderful dogs. They're pretty awesome. Bobby made the comment that they love orientation. It's such a fun game. That's the game that you'll play. I explain it as the conversation starter.
Yep.
That's how you have a conversation with your dog, to see where your dog is at that day or even at that moment. Whether they are super excited, ready to rock and roll and just, dig out and go, or if they're just like, not really into it today. Let's maybe try to do something else. This is your conversation starter. This is what's going to tell you how your dog's doing. But what I was going to say was the best thing about this video is we did it 2 different ways. The first one, the first video you'll see is orientation at its bare minimum, and it's Tani and Asha. Asha is our Aussie mix, and she's 13 years old, and she has never played orientation before. And not only that, Tani, being a dog trainer's wife, has never played orientation before. So it was a first timer for both of them. And not only was it the first time for Asha, she's a senior. She's an older dog, and you'll see. Just watch her body language and what she does and how fast she picks up on it, and she really starts to enjoy the game. And of course, the more that Tani does this with her, the more that she's going to look forward to. She's going to anticipate it. And that's going to lead into the second part of the video. And that's actually me doing it with Phoenix. And it's called Orientation Vortex. And that's where I add in other skills, other things in with it, like Thunder, Tornado, Touch. Just add in a simple sit command, just simple things. And the concept that I'm really tapping into with Phoenix at that moment is to be able to be excited, to be watching that movie, that TV show, and me come up behind her and start talking, and it register what
Yes.
I'm saying to her. That's what we're doing. We're flexing that muscle, making that muscle
Even if it's
stronger.
just you hear the talking and you go, huh?
Right.
You know, at least there's still
It-
some recognition that, oh, wait a minute, somebody's talking to me.
Right. Most important thing is that she would disengage from the stimulus
Yep.
and re-engage on me, and that's what we want. Is
Yes.
engaged on me because I'm your advocate.
Yes.
You know, we're our pet parents. We're their advocate. We get them through this world, so they look to us to get them through this world. So let's get them to
And
re-engage
if
with
they
us.
do that, then they'll know they're safe
Right.
with you, so they don't have to react sometimes to
Yeah.
something because, oh no, wait a minute, I'm safe here. You know, so they'll come back to that instead of
In the
Taking it
video,
on.
you'll see how excited Phoenix is to play this game. She has a hop in her step, her ears are up. She's offering things. She's offering downs and offering sits before I'm even asking for them. So that's something that we will need to work on is kind of slow her down a little bit. Because
Yeah, sometimes you have to slow them down because it's like, no, slow down and pay attention before I do. But it does still show that excitement, how much the dog enjoys,
Yeah, a lot of
the
fun.
game.
A lot of fun.
you know, and she's learning recall. She's learning, you know, she's reinforcing her sits, her downs, her so many things in that game.
Oh yeah.
It's not just throwing a treat back and forth.
It's a fun game, and I know the ones that haven't seen it, you will, like I said, get the email and see the video. It's actually pretty good. It's one of my first videos doing with the game, so let me know. Give me some feedback because I got to, you know, I'm learning how to do all this stuff. You know, I train dogs. I don't necessarily run websites. Oh, hi Haley. Oh, it must be getting close to 2 o'clock. I bet a lot of people are coming in at 2 o'clock. That's all right. That's okay. But yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that actually brings up another point is services. We haven't talked about the services that T&D actually offer. Besides, we do dog training, obviously, behavior reshaping instead of modification.
Yeah. Because we don't want to modify an unwanted behavior.
Yeah,
We want to reshape the behavior into a wanted behavior.
exactly.
Or
Live in
into a livable, a manageable.
right.
Manageable
Live in a world of yeses versus a world of no's.
Yes.
Flip
Yes.
yeah, see, it works every time. But the services we also offer photography, pet photography. It doesn't just have to be dogs. We do cats. She would love to do ferrets.
Ferrets, yeah. You know,
Um,
small animals, reptiles, you know, snakes. You'll do the handling, but otherwise, you know,
yeah, we
she can do just about any animal.
so we've got photography and also Haley brought up Sniff Spot, and we basically run a basically a private dog park is what it is. We open up our backyard for dogs that have those labels, like Haley asked, bite risk. Haley, you joined a little late, but you can always go back and watch the recording. We talked about that. Talked about labels itself, and that what your the bite risk. That is a label. And what I want you to understand real quick is that's a label that your dog has right now. It's not a label that your dog is going to have tomorrow or the day after. That's just what your dog is labeled as right now.
But we can change that label.
Yes.
Remove that label.
It can.
We don't want
be
to change
fixed.
it. We want to.
We want to change that label. We want it to be, oh, he's just goofy. He's so lovable, you know, or he's a snuggle bug. Those are the labels that we want your dog to have. So yes, we can change it. We can help with that. That's the whole reason why we started T&D Forever Home Training, because we want your dog to be at their forever home. We don't want them to have to be surrendered somewhere else because their pet parent feels that they can't handle them, or that they don't have enough time for them, or you know, they have that bad label, the aggression label, or the bite risk label. Those can be fixed. Those can be reshaped. Those are just behaviors. Those are emotions causing a reaction, and that's what we fix. Are the concepts. We'll strengthen those concepts that changes that emotion to get you the better reaction. That's kind of what we like I said started.
And actually, that kind of goes taboo. So I've got a shepherd that I just rescued about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And basically, that's what he was labeled as. That's why I ended up with him, because he was going to be destroyed if I did not take him, because I was told he was a bite risk. And he has some fearful reactions to some things. But we're working on it, and he's improved tremendously just in the 3 months that I've had him, that most people he's totally fine with now. So it's that was his label, but that's not him.
And we were actually talking before we started about him. He hasn't even really started the hardcore training.
No.
He's only been just flirting with the.
Yeah, he's just kind of been settling in, getting some basic, figuring out where he is and what's going on and things like that. Getting his vet care up to date. So yeah, he hasn't even started really the hardcore.
Well, we say hardcore.
He hasn't really started into the meat of it, the games, a lot of it. He hasn't. So
yeah. So and you're going to be starting it soon. So she is wanting to document it. So this is going to be a journey that you're going to be able to watch. We'll keep it on our social media platforms, and that way you can follow along.
You can follow along with it.
Also, Alex, I haven't had the time yet. I don't know if you know it, but me and Tanya had started working a new job doing night shift. So it's been kind of tough to adjust, but I have some videos that I need to get posted on Alex. Alex is the blind Doberman Pinscher that we were working with that won the 3 sessions from our first Friday event last month. He has done amazing. He is such an amazing dog. He is up for adoption. I'll put that information into the comments. So if you've been following his story, I'll make sure that you'll able to get the link to be able to fill out.
But he will be. He's going to make someone amazing.
We got a question. How many games? There are
a lot.
The last that I think I saw. Yeah, it was like 520 something was the last.
So I was thinking like 550. So yeah, there's
every Wednesday they call it Wicked Wednesday because a new game is released. Sometimes 2 games are released. And keep in mind, some of these games are very similar. They just have a little bit of a difference to it.
Some of that can be depending on what dog you're working with.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a slightly different approach.
Yeah, we always work with the dog that's in front of us. What works for one dog may not work for the other, so we always want to work with that dog that's in front of us. So there's hundreds of games. What would I call it? I guess the academy that we're a part of, that TND's part of. They're out of UK. This is my source of the games or the exercises, however you want to call them.
Your dog thinks it's a game, so whatever label you want to give it, it's
But that's where they like I said, they come with a new game every Wednesday, and it could be something as simple as something for us versus that helps our dogs.
Yes, sometimes it's how to look at yourself and make sure you're responding or
exactly. That's where you think about the things like the powerful why. Why did I get this dog in the first place?
Because that's going to be your driving force. Why am I still doing this?
Right.
And yes, sometimes even as dog trainers, those thoughts go through your mind.
Oh yeah, that's actually.
There are dogs that they're challenging, and you're thinking, can I do this?
There was one of the, I remember it was several months ago. It was a podcast, and it was talking about the dog trainer imposter. And it wasn't talking about people that just come out and call them dog trainers themselves, and say that they do this, do that. What it's talking about is yourself as a dog trainer, and you having that doubt. Phoenix, oh my Lord, she pushes.
And you're like, do I really know? I tell people I know what I'm doing, and I can't.
Right.
She's
one that will push you to your limits, and and she's made me doubt myself several times. But here's the thing: here's the number one rule when you're shopping for a dog trainer. If your dog trainer doesn't have a trainer, find another trainer.
Yeah,
Period.
because there's no such thing as everything. You always need,
Right. And that's
to
one
keep
thing
learning.
that I take pride in at T&D is that when you hire us to come out and help your dog, you're not hiring just one person. You're hiring a team of trainers. We have collectively, what I think, over 75 years of
Yes.
experience. So that, if I'm
And
seeing
we talk
something,
about the the
yeah, the
dogs
dogs
and the client, and it's like, okay, well, hey, this is what this dog is doing. You have some suggestions that might be a different approach. So
exactly.
it's always
we're
working
it's
as a team.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So it's not that if there's a behavior that maybe I have a hard time working with it,
Yeah.
I've always struggled with, which I can't think of.
Off the
I'm
bat,
sure there
but
is one. I
it's-
just can't think of it. But so I bring it up to them, and then they give me a different set of eyes on it. Maybe I bring them to a session with me, or they bring
Yeah.
bring me to.
And that's
to one
another
of the
thing. You don't
sessions.
always, it can be, I don't want to say interchangeable trainers,
Yeah.
but you will always have a trainer there, even if sometimes it's one of us comes in and fills in for one, or
Well,
hey, can you come put a second pair of eyes on this for me?
Unexpected events.
Events,
I had,
yeah.
Me and Tony both had COVID last week. That was terrible. Couldn't go anywhere. Wasn't that sick. We were both okay. We did great. But still.
But didn't want to go to anybody's house.
Yeah, it sucked. So, you never know. And I don't like to have to reschedule appointments, even though there is times that it has to happen. Life
Yeah.
does happen. I don't mind it if customers, pet parents, they actually reschedule. The only
was
reason
gonna
why is
say.
because, like I said, life happens.
Sometimes stuff
And
happens.
sometimes it is. It's for the benefit.
And that's another thing too, is when you hire us, it's you get this many classes. Obviously, they need to be somewhat in consecutive order. But you didn't hire us for 6 weeks, and if you miss a week, oh well, you only get 5 classes.
Yeah.
You get your 6 classes.
Well, that and not
It's
only
enough.
that, you got a trainer for life. So even after your sessions, because we set you up to grow, we want you to build. We give you the tools and teach you these games and teach you how to modify the games, change the games towards benefiting your dog. You start to understand what you're doing, how you're accomplishing these changes in your dog's behavior.
We're training you
We give
figure
you
it
the
out.
tools. So from that point on, if you ever have any questions, give us a call, give us an email, text. It doesn't matter. Just get a hold of us. We're more than happy to help.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once you're there, you're
So yeah,
stuck with us forever.
Right. So we got any more questions? All right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Like I said, we will be reposting, so if you want to watch again, be more than happy. But if you do see it, please share. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe for T&D on YouTube. 'Cause I am going to be posting videos. We'll be doing
I
little
was
shorts
gonna say, we're going
and
to be
things
doing
like
little
that.
short videos, and
We'll be
tell who's
doing
going
more.
to get going
Oh.
on there.
Yes, that's what I was just getting ready to say. There will be more webinars. I'd like to get on some type of a routine. I just don't know what that routine is going to be yet. Since this was the first one, we were trying to figure things out, and I thought it went
I
pretty
think
well.
it went pretty well.
So-
And maybe, hey, if you have ideas of something you'd want,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
a
shoot us some
webinar.
ideas.
What's something you
Absolutely.
wanna-
Shoot us some topics that you need us to talk about, something that you'd like us to address. Don't forget, if you are new and you need us to come out, we do a free 30-minute evaluation. We come out, we take a look, meet you, meet your dog, we meet everybody else in the house. We take a look at the environment, kind of take a look at the routine, and from that point, we prescribe you some exercises, some games to do to start reshaping. I know I get in a bad habit that even on the consults that I'll be like, let's start doing this now. It doesn't matter whether you hire us or not, just do this. Because this dog needs help.
Exactly. And that's what you want. It's like, no, let's give you the help you need now.
Right. But yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. And still, if any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. And Haley, I will be in touch with you about the dog park. Alrighty? Bye, y'all.